Well, hello everyone. I'm Maritza Barone and welcome to my podcast, Things You Can't Unhear. As a presenter with a focus on wellness, I have interviewed very many health professionals in my time and heard stories that have opened my eyes about the world we live in today. But I found the best bits that I take home with me and the things I heard that have changed my life are usually when the recording shuts off and we can talk in length behind the scenes. And that's the information that I want to share with you on this podcast. In today's episode, I'm moving away from interviewing a particular health professional and delving into someone's life experience and sharing her individual story of growth, because it's only through experience that we learn the most. Today, I'm with Ariel Kaplan, and to introduce Ari is not a quick or easy task. It's hard to define this woman in just a few words. She's an actor, most currently known as Imogen Willis on Neighbours, a singer, a dancer, a fitness trainer, and a wellness influencer. But they're just titles, and they don't even begin to define who she is. Hi, Ari.
Hello.
How are you, my lovely? Thank you for being here.
What an intro. You could walk around behind me all day just saying that stuff.
It's very, very true, though. You are very inspiring, and I got you here today as I've never really met such a pocket rocket in all my life. You're a real go-getter, and you can see it from the moment anyone lays eyes on you.
That's so nice.
How do you even begin to define yourself?
I honestly don't think I see myself the way others see me. Like, I often joke that I feel quite lazy and like I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. But then I hear stuff like that and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm doing all right.
Well, you definitely are, because what I got you here to talk about was mindset. I think our minds are such powerful tools, and you seem to have gone through the motions of mastering your mindset through your life experiences.
Yeah, it's definitely, to be a bit cliche, it's been quite a journey. I mean, I haven't always had a positive outlook on things, and I definitely, like everyone, still have my ups and downs with mindset and, you know, finding some sort of balance in my life. But over time, as you said, experience is the only way that we learn things, and I think I've got myself to a much better place than I started at. So I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, I want to talk about that soon. But firstly, just so I can paint the picture for everyone about your lifestyle now, can you give us a rundown of an average week in the life of Ariel Kaplan?
Well, this is where my life does get a little confusing because I have 2 jobs and 2 passions, and depending on which one I'm working on, my day is so completely different. So I've just been filming Neighbours for the last couple of months, and when I'm on set, my day is, you know, so different from a day where I'm working in fitness. However, I've finished filming at the moment, so I'll take you through a day in my life currently. It's a little bit more chilled out, which is nice. So I am such a grandma, and I go to bed pretty much at 9 o'clock most nights, which means I'm ready to get up very bright and early. So I try to get up around 6 a.m. each day. And I'm definitely a morning person, so I try and get all my training done quite early on. So I'm definitely a self-confessed exercise addict. So I generally train 2 or 3 times a day. And sometimes that involves my job where I teach.
2 or 3 times a day?
Yeah, I know. See, this is where I'm like, I'm balanced, but I'm still insane.
You're a machine. That's what you are.
Yeah, so sometimes it's my job. So I'll be teaching spin at Bodie and Ride,
Yes.
or PTing, which means I don't really have to do the workout, but it's still very physical. Other than that, you know, it might be F45 or boxing or Orange Theory or sprint training. I pretty much do different types of training every day to keep my body guessing.
But you've got a never give up mentality. I've seen you train me at Bodie and Ride, and you don't get off that bike. You push us so hard because we can't stop because you're pushing yourself so hard. So it's just like,
exactly.
But how do you push through? It hurts. I have to stop sometimes. How do you push through that pain?
Well, I think I've always been a super determined and almost to a fault competitive person, and not with others. I'm really not that competitive with others, but within myself. And if I know that, I finish teaching a class or I finish doing a class and I walk out of that room going, I probably could have pushed a bit harder. Like, I won't stop thinking about that all day. Like, I'm just a very determined type A, like, perfectionist personality. So in some ways, like, in that, it's really good because I do push myself, but it's also what's caused me sometimes to go off the other end and be too obsessed with things. So yeah, my day pretty much consists of training in the morning, coming home, eating lots of food because that's my other passion. I live with my nephews, so I spend a lot of my time with them in the afternoon before I usually go to work at night if I haven't trained in the morning. So then I'll be either PTing or teaching spin in the night. Whereas when I'm on set, I'm up at 4 a.m. to train before I go to work. I'll be on set from 6 a.m. till about 6 p.m. I come home and I go to sleep.
Never miss a day of training.
Never miss a day until I need a rest day and think I'm dying, and then it's time for a rest.
Yeah. Well, look, you've shared publicly that you've been through some struggles and come out the other side. Are you able to tell us your story today?
Absolutely. It's always hard because there's not like a day it started or finished or anything like that. I think my whole life, growing up with older sisters and growing up in the entertainment industry, I've definitely been aware of my body image, and it's always been a part of my life before I think I even realised it. And it's never something in my family that I grew up, being told to care about. My parents have never in my life, focused on what I look like. But I think because mental illness, something like an eating disorder, is a chemical imbalance in your brain, I feel like mine was always sort of there to an extent, but didn't really come to the forefront until I was about 18 years old. And I was filming Neighbours, and I found out I got the role, actually, and I started to be like, oh, you know what, I just want to feel really good about myself and feel confident. And I was by no means overweight, but I'd just come back from a long trip in Europe and my gap year, and I just wanted to get healthy. And I'd never really been into exercise before that. So I started training pretty hard, and I lost a bit of weight, and I looked great. I was really healthy. And unfortunately, like many people, it's a really slippery slope. And as I said, with my personality, it went from being a healthy focus to being an obsession. And if I didn't do exactly the same amount of exercise, and if I ate too many calories, and it went in a downward spiral so quickly, I can't even explain it. And for the people around me who saw me every day, it probably didn't seem that quick. But then it got to this point where you look at me and I wasn't this healthy person anymore. I looked sick and emaciated, and I was on camera, and everything on camera is just escalated. So it started becoming a real issue, and I was, there was a threat of losing my job because they don't want someone on TV representing a body image that's so unhealthy. Like, that's not a positive thing to show young girls or guys. So it was about a year. I was probably in the depths of my eating disorder, and it's hard to talk about, not because I find it hard, but because I don't actually remember that year very well. It's a bit of a blur. It's a blur when you think about it. Without eating, without eating enough, you don't have the brain function or the energy to do anything. So I didn't have the energy to even remember what was happening. So I'd go to work and I'd do my job, and in my head I was doing great. And then when I started getting better, suddenly everyone was like, oh, God, this is who you are. Like, we had no idea. Like, you didn't smile, you didn't laugh. And anyone who knows me now, or the real Ari, like, I don't shut up. Like,
you don't wipe the smile off your face.
Yeah, like, I'm a pretty happy person. So to me that was so shocking because I had no idea what the outside world was seeing, because all I thought about was my next meal or when I was going to exercise. So it was a pretty horrible year, but I always say that I am so grateful that I went through it, because I have such an understanding of mental illness now. Even mental illnesses I haven't gone through, I have so much sympathy and empathy for, because until you've gone through something, you have no idea how horrible it can be.
Absolutely.
So now I spend my life, trying, if I meet anyone that's heading down that path or already, on that path, I'm try so hard to direct them elsewhere and explain to them that no matter how skinny you get or what those scales say, or no matter how much you stop eating until you think you're going to feel good and pretty, you're never going to get there. It's an unattainable goal. So focusing on different goals, like how strong you are and how fit you are and what sort of person you are, is a much better way to go about it. So that's kind of, it's been, that's a very quick sum up, but that probably finished when I was about 20, and I'm now 24. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still a very obsessive type A person, but I found a way to sort of balance it out in my life, and I'm so much happier for it.
Right. So how do you, what tools have you used to control your mind and, make sure you're not falling back into old and harmful routines of the past?
Absolutely. So initially when I was sick, I saw a psychologist, and my whole life, without even realizing, I sort of had this association that seeing someone meant I was a failure. And my whole thing in life is not failing. Like, that's so much a part of being in control, is always being the best. And when I finally, succumbed to seeing someone, I realized how important it is. And now, funnily enough, I'm dating a psychologist.
Oh,
well,
my
boyfriend is studying to be a psychologist. And I say to him all the time, like, how important his job is. Like, if you need help and if you can afford help, like, it is honestly the most priceless, important part of my recovery, was seeing someone who laid down the law and had facts and statistics, and that's what I needed. I didn't need someone to, like, hug me and tell me I was going to be okay. I needed cold, hard facts to, like, kick my butt into gear and realize, like, if I didn't change, I was going to ruin my life forever.
Yeah. Look, if we don't have our minds, we don't have, it doesn't matter how fit we are, it doesn't matter which foods we're eating. And if our minds aren't the one, that one thing that we look after the most, we don't have anything.
Absolutely. And I love that nowadays there is such a push towards mental health as well as physical health, because I think we're starting to finally realize that one is not more important than the other. Like, they both need to be functioning in order to be a human, like, or not even a healthy human being, just a human being.
Exactly.
You need both of them. So, yeah, definitely seeing someone helped me a lot. And finding other passions, refocusing on my acting, my family, who are like my whole life, spending time with them, doing things I couldn't do, like going out for dinner was the scariest thing in the whole world to me. And once I did it, I realized, like, this shouldn't ever be a fear. This should be something that everyone can do with their family and friends. So I put the focus away from myself and put the focus on other people and helping other people, and that really made me feel accomplished. And a big part of an eating disorder is that feeling of, you've accomplished something. So finding other ways to fulfill that was really important for me.
Yeah, it's acknowledging it too, and not just being distracted by these thoughts. I think acknowledging your thoughts and getting through them rather than going around them is a key as well.
Oh, yeah. If you don't admit what's happened, like, I remember sort of my breakthrough moment. I was lying in bed one day and my mum came in, and my family knew what was going on. They're very aware of this sort of stuff. And my mum came in and I broke down. And I remember it was like the first time I said out loud that I thought I had anorexia. And, she knew, like, it wasn't a shock, but for me to say it, it was such a moment of, like, okay, we're going to get through this now because you understand what's going on. Because when you're in denial, it looks like there's no light at the end of the tunnel for you or for the people around you.
Yeah. And look, the industry that you work into, you're an actor, and it can be such a competitive industry. It's full of rejection. It can be quite testing when you're, trying to get gigs and get a name for yourself in the industry. How have you managed to master the busy times versus the quiet times, and the successes versus the knockbacks?
I think because I started in this industry when I was 6 years old, I grew up with it. And when you're a kid, I feel like rejection just isn't that bad.
That's good.
Yeah, I felt when I was younger, I was like, oh, well, it's shit because I'll have to go to school now. But, it doesn't matter that much. And then as you get older, it becomes, it's not a hobby anymore. It's a job. And I was finishing school and everyone else was going to uni, and, other parents, especially in the Jewish community, were like, well, you're not going to go to university. And I was like, no, I want to be an actress. Or, what I wanted to do wasn't something I needed to study for necessarily at that point in my life. So that was definitely when I started realizing that I had to take it more seriously. And nowadays rejection is definitely harder, but I always bring it down to I just wasn't right for the role. Like, it's not that they don't like me personally. It's just that I wasn't the right age or the right look. And look, even when you get a role, you still get negativity towards it. You'll still have people who don't like you. Like, no matter what part of this industry you're in, whether you're employed or unemployed, there's still difficulties that come along with being in the public eye. So you really do have to develop a thick skin and know who you are, because everyone will challenge that and so many people will try and knock you down. And that's why I'm so lucky that I'm in a family. Both my older sisters are in the industry. As I said, my boyfriend's a psychologist. My parents are the most supportive parents in the world. And I have a very small group of close friends. And with them, I feel like no matter what I go through, I've always got those people. And that's kind of where I go to in those downtimes.
A strong support base is
exactly
vital to your mental health, obviously.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Look, I want to touch on social media as well, because I have a real love-hate relationship with it.
Me too.
Look, it can be such an incredible tool if it's used wisely, but it can also cause a lot of angst in people. So, people comparing themselves to others, etc. It's not the real world. So what's your take on social media? What's your take on this? And how do we use it in a way that's healthy for us all?
I have those exact same feelings. I mean, in some ways, social media is a huge part of my career, and in some ways I love it, and at other times I just want to delete that stupid application and never go on it again. So for me, number one thing I've done is stop following people that don't make me feel good about myself, and that's not their problem. That's not their fault, and I'm not blaming them at all. That is totally down to my insecurities or how I'm feeling. But that made a really big difference to my life. Like, I know I'm never going to be a 6-foot supermodel, and I know when I look at photos of them, I just feel shit about myself. So why put myself through that? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's that. Then there's, the other side. I've actually just gone through a bit of an ordeal with social media. I'd never really received hate in my life. I mean, I'm not a celebrity and I don't have a huge following, so I've never really come across it. And with me reappearing on Neighbours, my character came back as a bit of in a nice way, like a bit of a biatch.
Yeah.
But, that's my job, and she's a feisty character and she's strong and I love playing her. But unfortunately, sometimes viewers can't differentiate a character from an actor. So people started sending me abuse, about how I look and my attitude, and it was really overwhelming.
And if they met you, they would realize you're actually a really lovely person, and you're not that. This is not real life, people.
I would really hope that I'm not like that character. I mean, she's a legend, but she's far
Probably
more harsh
fun playing her.
Oh my God, I love it. You never want to play exactly yourself, then what's the fun? But yeah, that was the first time, literally in the last few weeks, I've experienced such negativity on social media, followed by an onslaught of positivity when I did a post about it, because I'm so honest on my social media. Not only in do I post with no makeup on and, post my ups and downs, but I also say it how it is. I posted saying I've received a lot of negativity and I'm going to take a couple of days off, because I think sometimes it's really important to just step away from the issue when you can't control it. Mm-hmm. And then I got, thousands of beautiful and kind messages. So that again kind of shows the dichotomy of social media. You've got that, horrible trolls online or people who make you feel shit about yourself. And then you've got the thousands and thousands and millions of positive people who are there to uplift you and make a difference via social media. It's like a win-win, lose-lose. Do you know what I mean? There's always going to be positives and negatives, and it's about taking from it what you need and giving what you can, but also being okay with being this isn't real and no one's life is this good.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Even when there's a slight negative comment and there's probably 99% positivity, your mind does tend to sort of really focus on the negative for some reason. But you're so right. You've got to pull yourself out of that and look at, you can't please everyone. You're never going to be everyone's favorite person, and
a chance.
Yeah, there's not a chance. So focusing on the positives is one big thing that we all have to make sure that we do. I'd love to know, just to finish up here for everyone, how you define health and maybe a couple of your top tips on keeping your mindset strong.
Health for me, I'm really over the word balance, even though I use it, because it's kind of everywhere and it's almost unattainable. I feel like we never are going to have that perfect balance. So I feel like health for me is waking up in the morning and feeling like you're on top of it. You're happy and you know what you're going to do with your day and you're feeling positive, and whatever comes your way, you're going to be okay with it. Like, that to me is healthy, knowing that you can sort of conquer the world, and that, that's only possible with good sleep, nutrition, exercise, a healthy mind. Like, it kind of everything falls under that bracket. But for me, it's health is happiness. Like, that's simply, to me, all that it is. And then some tips. As I mentioned, I think sleep's really important. I think it's very underrated. I feel so sorry for people who don't get good sleep. I try to sleep, 8 to 10 hours a night, and I swear by that. I always say nothing good happens after 8 p.m. Nothing.
My dad used to say that, actually.
Literally, I'm an old person. I love it. And then I would also say exercise. I know, nowadays it's much more common to be into fitness, or it's a bit of a fad, but literally just moving your body in some way. You don't have to be insane like me and train hardcore 3 times a day, but if it's going for a walk in the morning, if it's just getting those endorphins, both physically and more importantly mentally, it is life-changing. And anyone who I've sort of seen grow into fitness and training, I have seen such a huge change in their mindset. So that's a huge one for me.
There's nothing quite like that feeling when you walk out of a training session and that rush of happy chemicals that are going through your brain.
Oh, my God, it's the best. And you're like, I could do anything. You walk in and you're like, I hate everyone. I don't want to do this. And then half an hour later, you're like, I am unstoppable.
The best half an hour ever in the day.
Exactly. And my last one, which is probably a little bit controversial, but I eat a plant-based diet, and mine is mainly for moral reasons. I love animals and I don't want them to be hurt. But also for my health, I've seen a huge improvement in my skin and my gut. But again, everyone is different and every diet, works for different people. But for me, that was a huge part of my health journey, was eating, if not a plant-based diet, then more focused on vegetables and natural organic sort of products rather than lots of processed foods.
Absolutely. And if it works for your body and you're thriving, then it's the right thing for you. That's what I believe.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, to see more of Ari's life journey, you can check her out on the socials where we have the love-hate relationship. And if you want to send me a message or ask any questions or perhaps be part of the next show and share your wellness story or life mission, please get in touch at Maritza_Barone on Instagram. Thank you so much, Ari.
Thank you, my love.
Be happy, be healthy, be well. Thanks, everyone.